Hey guys, Lancer here. Hope everyone's doing well. Thanks again for joining me while we look into some reserve list cards. Let's jump right to it. So the first card is Infernal Tribute. And once again, if I've viewed these cards more than once, it's mostly because of the price change, as that's how I track of them. So 3 black for an enchantment. Sacrifice a card in play, draw a card. If I reviewed this card before, I think I would have said something similar. This card is actually really good because it lets you sacrifice any kind of card in play. I think with the pretense that you control it. Okay, never mind. I have just checked what it actually was meant to say. It says pay 2, sacrifice a non-token permanent, draw a card. That makes sense because it has a card to begin with. Obviously, permanents. That probably makes this card a bit less, but in certain decks, it's still really good. It doesn't cause you any life loss. And as long as you have a cycle ability to make sure you have the cards coming back all the time, this is really, really good. A Lotus Cobra plus Kobold or the Gitrod monster with a way to get lands back from the graveyard into play. You can get a cycle going where this is just pay 2, sacrifice a land, get that land, put it back into play, get 2 mana, do it again, and draw another card, and then you draw another card for Kobold or Gitrog monster. And you can just get that cycle going pretty easily. And I know that I've done that before where you can just get like 4 or 5 lands into play in one turn just because of how many other cards there are to play many turn. So I like this card. The only problem is it's 3 black mana, which means you're probably going to be limited on when you can play it, and it won't fit into every single deck. Gitrog monster, yes. Kobold, probably not as easily. Next card, Selenia Dark Angel from Tempest. Oh, and the price for that card has gone up like crazy. Used to be around about $4 in 2019, and now it's sitting around about $13 with a market price of maybe 1985. You might have trouble getting it for that. It says $10.99, but I doubt it. Next is Selenia from Dark Angel from Tempest. 3 colorless, 1 black, 1 white for a summon legend. Flying Angel. Counts as an angel. Pay 2 life, return Selenia to its own hand. Huh. This is very, very simple. A lot of cards that care about how much life you're on may care about something like this. The fact that she makes it very easy to pay for her cost at all times. You can return her back to your hand at any time. Yeah, but the problem is the artwork's cool, but outside of that, she still seems like a exigent angel creature. I think there might be some better versions or better cards like this that are black, white, and one that came out, which pretty much does something similar to this, but sorry, not something similar. Whenever anyone plays a spell, it they lose 2 life or something similar. Um, this is probably not that good, other than a iconic serverless card that's certain tribe. So it's going to be tricky to fit her in every single deck. Her price point was pretty high, so I probably didn't review her in the past. She was sitting at around about $4 for a long time, but now she has moved to almost $12.88, probably about $13. He says $9, but if we go back to Infernal Tribute, that is a perfect example of what has been happening to the market, but the near mint going for $60 is kind of stupid. A heavily played you can get for $8 for Infernal Tribute. I guess on Selenia, you might be able to find a heavily played for about $9 or less. So we'll have to see how that goes. Whirling Wurm from Mirage, 2 colorless, 1 green, 1 blue for a summon worm. 1/1 worm. During your upkeep, pay 2 colorless, 1 green, 1 white, 1 blue, or Whopping Worm phases out. When Whopping Worm phases in, put a +1/+1 counter on it. That's kind of cool. The way I'm thinking about it is every second turn it's a consistent +1/+1 counter enabler. You can move the counters around in certain decks, so you can take the counters off it. And sometimes you can come back with way more counters. The problem is it's 4 mana for a 1/1 that then becomes a 2/2 in a deck that doesn't do anything else other than that. That just doesn't seem worth it. The card itself has gone up in value by quite a bit by the percentage. It was 50 cents until January 20, February 20, 2021, and then it has jumped up to $1.47. Actually, surprisingly, this card is not as expensive as I expected. If you can figure out a way to get those +1/+1 counters to really, really take off, this might not be a bad card. You can still get it for 25 cents heavily played, 50 cents played. Like I said, it's not in every deck. Even a +1/+1 counter deck probably would not want to waste a card slot for a +1/+1 phasing in kind of card. Next, Keeper of Tressahorn from Alliance. 5 colorless, 1 black for a Avatar. Whenever Keeper of Tressahorn attacks and isn't blocked, it assigns no combat damage this turn and defending player loses life. I feel like I might have reviewed this card before. It is a weird card. You cannot, it's a creature, it's not a legend. It's a avatar, so it's not a demon in a black deck that doesn't have any keywords. I don't see any reason why people would just not take the 2 life when you paid 6 mana to get a creature out like this. You wasted a turn pretty much for one person to 2 life the next turn. Not that impressive in my eyes. Not even a discount for it. 94 cents on TC. I actually can. Airborne Predator from Fallen Empires. 4 colorless, 2 black for a 5/5 flying trample predator. That's more like it. Oh, sorry, flying. A first strike trample. At the beginning of your upkeep, put a -2/-2 counter on Airborne Predator. Sacrifice a creature, which it doesn't say. Oh no, I need to keep. Sacrifice a creature. Remove a -2/-2 counter from Airborne Predator. If the sacrificed creature was a thrall, put a +1/+0 counter on Airborne Predator. Activate this ability only during upkeep and only once each turn. Not that impressive in my eyes. It started off good. If you can give it haste, you can swing in for 5. But there's nothing really special about this. It's not even a unlimited sack outlet. And even if you want an unlimited sack outlet, we have that vampire that allows you to sacrifice a creature and then scry for free, and it's a 1-drop. That card is amazing. This, not so much. I probably should get through this faster as well. Next card, Phyrexian Portal from Alliance. 3 colors for an artifact. Pay 3 if your library has 10 or more cards in it. Target opponent looks at the top 10 cards of your library and then separates them into face down piles. Exile one of those piles. Exile one of those piles. Search the other pile for a card, put it into your hand, then shuffle the rest of that pile into your library. Am I missing something here? If your library has 10 or more cards in it, which commander card decks should, target opponent looks at the top 10 cards of your library and separates them into 2 face down piles. Do you exile one of those piles randomly? You don't get to look through them. You pick one or the other. So you go right or left. I don't like that at all because that just means that the person that you got, your opponent that you got to do that, and just have like a devil grin on his face while you pick the wrong one that just has all lands. You don't need lands or all has like expensive creatures if you do that. So I don't like that to begin with. Then you search the other pile for a card, put that into your hand, then shuffle the rest of that pile into your library. It puts it into exile. Is that a good thing nowadays, now that we can interact with exile a bit more? I don't know if we can fully interact with exile, but I'm sure that card will come at some point. Maybe this isn't too bad. It's $3.31 on TCG. There has never been a card like this, really. Sorry, not to this level. And if there is a way that you can start messing around with exiled cards, this could come in handy in Commander where you get that other section, the other separated pile. But I just don't think that this card is good enough. It gives the opponent too much of a, you picked the wrong side, or I'm going to play some mind games with you. And it just delays the game while there's 4 people on the table and interacting. Next, Eye of Singularity from Visions. 3 colors, 1 white for an enchant world. This Die if Singularity enters the battlefield, destroy each permanent with the same name as another permanent, except for basic lands. They cannot be regenerated. Whenever a permanent other than a basic land enters the battlefield, destroy all other permanents with that name. They cannot be regenerated. This card is not very good for... Okay, actually, I take that back. This card isn't amazing for Commander, but it is amazing against tokens. Because every single token will have the same name as the first token. That'll work. And I guess the next step of that is single... Yeah, no, I guess it'll counter token decks. This card will counter token decks. Next. Winter's Chill from Ice Age. X, blue, instant. Cast Winter's Chill only during combat before blockers are declared. X cannot be greater than the number of snow lands you control. Choose X target attacking creature. Those its controller may pay 1 or 2. If the player doesn't, destroy that creature at the end of combat. Nice. If that player chooses 1, prevent all combat damage that will be dealt to and dealt by that creature's turn. What happens if the player pays? Good question. I don't know. Okay, that's I like it. It can be a blowout. No one would expect a blue destroy target attacking creatures to this level. In fact, I don't even think I've seen something like white. This feels pretty good. Like, everyone swings in with 4 creatures, or at least one player swings in with 4 creatures against a guy that's got this in his hand. He pays 5. The guy has tapped out, so he can't do anything about it. And I don't understand the 2, but outside of that, this feels pretty good to me. So, next. I don't know what that 2 is. Second Chance, Urza's Legacy. 2 colorless, 1 blue for enchantment. During your upkeep, you have 5 or less, 5 life or less, sacrifice Second Chance, and take an extra turn after this one. Feels pretty good to me, but you pretty much want to do it. I mean, if you're waiting for this card to be the reason why you win, that's going to be a bit tough. But I feel like this is still not a bad card. It depends on what kind of deck you have, but this feels like a better way to take an extra turn than a lot of other ways that have been coming out recently. Next, Boils of Evil from Ice Age. 2 colorless, 1 black for an interrupt. For each artifact or creature in target opponent's graveyard, add 1 colorless mana to your mana pool and gain 1 life. Pretty straightforward. It might work really well if the other guy has a Golgari deck and he's dredging all day long. I know I have one of those, and I can get quite a few cards into my graveyard pretty early, and most of them are creatures. So a card like this is good, but only if you know one of your friends really likes playing graveyard reanimate decks and a lot of discard effects. If not, this could be a useless card for a lot of games. And last one, Lure of Prey from Mirage. Also feels familiar, but it also is a good card. Lure of Prey, 2 colorless, 2 green for an instant. Play only if you won't successfully cast a summon spell this turn. Put a green summon card from your hand into play as though it was just played. This is amazing. You could get out some dinosaurs, some dragons, some Eldrazi straight from your hand into play. You don't get the cast trigger, I don't think. It doesn't say cast, it says put. So you do miss out on any cast triggers. But it's a pretty good card for 4 mana to get out a 7, 8, maybe even a 9 mana card onto the field. You'd feel pretty good about that. And you got to remember, it says a green, but I think any card that has green in it would be considered. So most dinosaurs, I guess, big ones, part of this. And anyways, guys, thanks for watching. Have a good one, and I'll see you guys next time.